Hello and welcome to our live stream at this hour. I'm reporter Yu Yang in Beijing with CGTN. And the India government on Wednesday confirmed carrying out airstrikes on 9 identified terrorist training camps, according to their words, located in the Pakistan-controlled Kashmir. And India PM Narendra Modi personally monitored the airstrikes, according to India media outlets. Also, the country earlier held a press conference noting that the attacks aim to destroy, in their word, terror infrastructures cross-border. On the other hand, we also heard from Pakistan. The country's air force has shot down another Indian jet in response to Indian missile strikes at 6 locations in the country that killed at least 26 people and 46 more injured. This was actually 5th Indian jet that has been shot down in response to the Indian overnight strikes. So for more insights, here joining me in the studio is my colleague Malik Ayub Sumbal. He's actually a commentator of CGTN from Pakistan. Welcome to our show, Malik.
Thank you very much, Young.
So how do you evaluate the current situation? Do you think the conflict is going to get worse?
Yeah, it's actually unfortunately very tense situation in terms of especially when India violated and especially breached the Pakistani territory. It's not like a normal thing that means they comes inside and attack the civilians area that they claim to be the terrorist hideouts. That is a blatant lie, because there is not civilian population. There is civilian population where they are killing. There are children and the women who were killed, and then India, for a face saving behind in India, they are claiming to be the terrorist hideouts. So the things would be escalated. On the other hand, we see the retaliation from Pakistan. So we saw the 6 planes that Pakistani Minister of Defense confirmed that they have shot down the 6 planes for which India, because India was boasting as a war hysteria that the Rafale could change the game, because last time when Pakistan crashed one of the Indian plane, at that time Prime Minister Modi, who has actually to make a very big defense deal with France and buying the Rafale jets. So 6 plane crashed like after the retaliation. Pakistani Air Force, it's like something like the 6th plane. If any Air Force crashed, I think it's like they crashed the backbone of the Indian Air Force. It seemed like. So the pressure will come, I think, more on India now, because the Modi war rhetoric, it was that begins from this incident, that attack on the tourist, because Pakistan has presented, and I think that Pakistan's strategical partners also offer the impartial and the objective investigation into the incident. So this was not the incident that just like to breach on some country, especially the country that, but both sides are the nuclear powers. Like Pakistan is not like Pakistan is not like a normal country in terms of the defense. When we say there are inside the terrorism, Pakistan is also victim of inside terrorism. There are different attacks, but the way that India is trying to deal with Pakistan, I think that could escalate the situation now.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, the 2 sides all have nuclear weapons. Do you think in the future there will be lead to a nuclear confrontation between the 2 sides?
I don't think so that the things could head on that way very soon, because Pakistan and India has a history of this war from both sides. But especially after that, now I think that if the situation will not cool down, because Pakistan has to respond yet, because there is also pressure inside Pakistan that is mounting. That because this is not a normal retaliation. It is not like this that it's not the fire on the LOC. It's not on the border fight. It is inside Pakistan, the Bahawalpur and other cities that they are mentioning. They are the dense populated cities. We never saw any terrorists were there actually. And this is something like this, that the face saving that Mr. Modi is going to be in India, because he has also the pressure, because the way Congress, the way India, BJP has made the narrative inside the India, because there was some elections inside, and most of the time India trying to make this war hysteria like atmosphere into the election to get the more like the more votes and some sort of this atmosphere. But now, because this if we see and if we saw the footprints of the Modi government in the last 2 tenures and then the 3rd tenure, this one, so most of his politics is actually revolves around this kind of the war hysteria and this kind of the making the hatred in the public and to divide the Hindu and Muslim population. And we saw that there is a severe rise of the communal violence inside India. We have been witnessing this thing. So the situation is this, that if Modi will not take the situation at that stage, then it could be chance that it could be moved back. But now he is going to take the situation towards that side which is, I think, that is going to be bounce back for India. So both sides, I think, there will be damage on both sides. It is not like this when the two bull will be fight. Of course, there will be the damage from both sides.
Of course, there will be damage from both sides. And as you mentioned, Malik, it's quite strange how things goes to step by step to this kind of situation, because as we know, this comes after a kinds of terror attacks to tourists at that border, and it's actually it happened in April 22nd. So how do you think the reasons behind this kind of escalation?
So if we see the trends between both countries, so if we examine, so we have this train incident in Pakistan, in Balochistan. There was several soldiers killed, there was people killed. So the problem is this, that India and Pakistan has a history of the proxies engagement, because the Kashmir, that is the mean that Pakistan, some part is controlled by Pakistan, some part is controlled by India. So this LOC and all this, like the war on Kashmir, it's not a new thing. So the attack, of course, Pakistan condemned this attack. Pakistan even ensured that Pakistan will have all kind of the impartial and the objective investigation. Even any countries like the Pakistan strategical partners, even those Middle Eastern countries who have the Pakistan very close, India has also very good relation. So when Pakistan is offering such kind of things, and even in the United Nations Security Council, Pakistan mentioned this thing. So at that time, that India should come on the table talk rather than going on this aggressive action and comes directly to fire the missiles inside Pakistani territory. It is mean like this, that you are mean that the two people who are sitting on the table and they are table talk and someone just got up and grabbed something. It is like this. So of course this has to reach at this level, and now it could further escalate.
And Malik, as you mentioned, there are several conflicts between India and Pakistan, as we know, over the past century. So give us more idea about the history between the two sides. Why such a huge number of conflicts can be seen between the two sides?
So the integral part, or maybe the, like you can say, bone of contention between India and Pakistan is the Kashmir. Because at the time of the independence in 1947, so at that time India immediately attacked and take in 1948 they imposed a war on Pakistan, because it is a long history if we can start explaining, but the country has war in 1948, 1965, 1971 and then 1999, the Kargil war. That is quite famous between India and Pakistan. Ultimately all the wars at the end they has to come on table talk. We have a big war in 1971, like Pakistan that lost at East Pakistan, that was the Bangladesh, and then there was
the LOC.
LOC. So the problem right now is this, that India has actually some sort of you can say that becoming trying to be an Asian tiger in its its mind, because India has the problem with many other neighboring countries. We saw it with Nepal, they have the problem. With Bangladesh, they recently, the border issue. So the mentality of the India in terms of Asia Pacific, they are trying to be that we are something like the governor of this Asia Pacific region. So this mentality is typically something like this, that is contradictory with the ground realities. Because
but to respect the independence of each country, right?
Exactly, and India not only disrespect the other countries, the neighboring countries, but also trying to intervene, like mean that it is not parallel and it is not compatible to the ground realities, because India is not like a developed country. They have a big economy, but it does not mean that they are going to have the gangster-like attitude towards its neighbors. So this is the problem that is mean that this is the war hysteria. They give and they flare up the public. It's not only Pakistan, the many other countries, they have this kind of things that we are this and we are this, but actually it's not, because when it comes to the actual number game, and when it's come to the strength, mean that they lost. If still there are confirmations that the number of the planes, that if 6 planes India lost in this a few hour fight, I think then Mr. Modi has to resign, because it's a really shame, because if some air force has damage of this kind,
taking into the consideration of the cost of the conflicts, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
And Malika, also if you take a look at the reactions from the both different parties, for example, it's quite interesting, we have heard from US President Donald Trump, and he's actually said about the strike, he said he hoped the fighting ends very quickly. But on the other hand, we have also heard from the India's embassy in Washington, and said the New Delhi's national security advisor, who had briefed the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio about the current situation. So how do you think the Washington's role in this kind of regional conflicts?
In India and Pakistan conflict, United States previously had played some big roles, but recently one of the American expert, he mentioned and he criticized that the absence mean that US has not interest in this conflict. So it's mean that the US is provoking this situation. I am fair to say, and I have to say, because it's looked like this that this US want to push a regional war. It's looked like this that the atmosphere and the war rhetoric that they are making, trying to divert the international attention that is going inside inside the US, because inside Donald Trump is also facing a lot of pressure. This tariff and all this kind of stuff, they are trying to maybe switch the situation and trying to divert the situation to some other wars or some new front that could be open, and maybe the attention could be on this situation. So of course the US is not giving its responsible role in this conflict and this situation, rather than, because they have speak I think foreign secretary speak with Pakistani authorities similarly, but JD Vance, the vice president, he has given a statement, and it was quite a very suspected statement, that he said that India may have to retaliate and Pakistan has to be some sort of soft reaction. So it was a statement that he's given on the record. So I think that the US role is not constructive in this thing.
So it's kind of caught while the US government used to play well in previous administrations, right?
Yes, of course, US has a policy in subcontinent, especially in India and Pakistan, the divide and rule policy. So they are the seller of the weapons. They sell the weapons to the both sides, and that's why it could be one of the another big industry for the weaponization to both the countries, because Pakistan is using also Americans' weapons, and they are pushing India also to buy some American weapons. So it could be a speculation or a suspect for this upcoming warmongering and war hysteria situation.
So if we take a look at big picture, currently it's ongoing conflicts in the Middle East. For example, we can see the conflicts in Gaza. So do you think the current tensions between India and Pakistan will lead to an even worse situation in the Middle East?
No, of course not, because Pakistan is not Gaza. Gaza is like the people like who has been killed by Israel. They are the civilians and the innocent people, like they don't have any weapons. So Pakistan retaliated in like a very strong way, and so I don't think so that situation could be at that level. Of course, the international players, regional players will come up and trying to cool down this situation unless it goes beyond the hands of everyone. Because if it will be all war, I think it could be the situation will be out of hands of all the stakeholders.
So how about the next scenario? Do you think the two sides are going to reach an agreement or back to a table, just as you mentioned, we talk again, for example?
We saw that on the Indian side, they hosted some white flags and trying to be ceasefire on the border. So next couple of hours is very important, because Pakistan has to retaliate more. It's look like this, because the reaction that comes, it would further escalate. So let's see, and we are very much looking at the situation, and I think it could be escalate a little, and I hope that it could be in next couple of rounds. If both sides come up on the table, then the things could move towards the negotiation.
Definitely. And this morning we also talked to some experts here in China, and they mentioned about the terrorism at the region, and they mentioned that China and India and of course Pakistan are all the victims of terrorism. So how do you evaluate the current terrorism conditions in that region?
Of course, Pakistan has a long history of this facing terrorism, and it's not like this that but Pakistan also blame and accused India, because they say that the retaliation and the intervention, especially in some provinces, they mentioned there are even not only that this BLA and other groups that is involved into this terrorism, but also there are Sikh minorities who has been gunned down by the Indians inside Pakistan. Like in Canada, we saw that the Indian hand was proved, and even that there was a tense relation between India and Canada. So of course terrorism, Pakistan is facing terrorism, and Pakistan acknowledged this thing and asked this thing that there is the hand of the India behind this, and even they have shared the proofs to the international bodies. So but it does not mean that that someone else or maybe India has to come and do this kind of the strikes on the civilian population, claiming it to be the terrorist hideouts, because it's all lies, and it's all something like this that they provoked and trying to make a warmongering situation.
So do you think there will be more retaliation moves made by Pakistani side, or do you think it's going to depend on the India side's reactions?
No, I believe that there will be more retaliation. The more retaliation has to come because they come in, they breach the Pakistani land, Pakistani areas, and they come. So Pakistan will retaliate, and the retaliation will have to come in next couple of hours, it seems to me.
Coach, thank you so much, Malik. Really appreciate your insights on the issue. And that's all for our show today here at CGTN. We have launched a special coverage on the conflicts between India and Pakistan. As we mentioned earlier, on Wednesday, India confirmed has launched airstrikes to Pakistan. And of course, Pakistan has retaliated and shoot about 6 planes at India's insights. And of course, I have my colleague here, Malik, and he shared with us his insights on the current situation. And for the future, we will keep close eyes on the development of the conflicts between the two sides. We really appreciate your time, and we keep you updated on the developments of the situation. And stay with us. Goodbye.